So we'll need 2 books or a yoga block if you have one, and your pillow. So we're going to start in a reclined cobbler's pose. So if you want to just bring your blocks and your pillow alongside you. So if you do have one that's slightly bigger than the other one, it's going to kind of go lengthwise and just right at the base of your spine, so you'll feel just where your tailbone is. So the bigger one's going to come closer. The bigger one's going to come further away, and the smaller one's going to come closer. And they're just going to be on top of one another. And then you're just going to take your pillow, and then bringing the soles of your feet together. So you want it to be within a position so that you can feel a slight opening in your hips, and then just slowly making your way back. You might just want to move your hips slightly forward here, just so you can get a nice comfortable position. And people think you just instantly come into poses in yoga. You don't. You need to have a little bit of a fidget, a little bit of a move about, so you can find comfort here, and you can find a pose that's really going to serve you well this evening. And then once you find your stillness, you take a big deep breath in, fill up all your lungs, keep going, keep going, keep going. Hold it at the top, sip in a tiny bit more air, and then exhale, fully dissolve into that pose and side out. Close down your eyes. And just bringing your attention to your breath. Within yin, because we do hold these poses for longer periods of time, our breath is super important. We go to our breath when we have those times of discomfort or intensity. So if at any point you feel your breath is becoming shorter or increase in rhythm, you can back out of the pose. Bring yourself back to this nice slow breathing. We're just going to encourage you just to do some equal breathing here. So everyone take an inhale together, exhale out a sigh, and then inhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale out the mouth. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale it in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and exhale it out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then just keep that equal breath with you. If you want to lengthen it out to 7 or 8 counts, you're welcome to. Just while we're in this pose, we're starting to let our heart open a bit. We're letting our hips open. We're just letting those tiny, tiny fibers in our fascia start to stretch and open out. We're bringing awareness to all these beautiful layers of tissue in our body that often when we stretch only get maybe 30 seconds max attention. So here we're allowing them to really open, let the blood flow there. And know that if you do experience any points in which it is uncomfortable or there is that intensity, bring it back to your breath and know that that uncomfortableness that you might be feeling is there for your body's benefit. And as we are opening our chest, if you want to visualize even with every exhale, sending that breath out through your breastbone. With every exhale, just releasing something from your body that is no longer needed. Making sure you're softening through your jaw and through your face. Letting that tension melt away. We're just going to stay in this pose for a couple more breaths. If you feel you can bring a little bit more softness into the pose, if you feel like you've come away from your edge, just let your body melt down further. I know this is your practice. You go within your limits. With your next exhale, maybe supporting the knees, just bringing the knees up to center and enjoying that feeling of release as you bring your knees up to center and your hips start to relax. And then just maybe crossing at the ankles, using your hands and your elbows to support yourself, just coming all the way up to seated, just slowly bringing yourself up. And then you can move your props just over to the side, just so you have a little bit of space. And then bringing the soles of our feet together, keeping them in this shape, maybe walking them a little bit further away. We're just going to fold over, coming into a butterfly position here. So making it really restorative for your spine. So we just flexed our spine open, and now we're going to let it fall in. And if you feel like you've not reached your edge with your legs, you can just bring your feet closer in towards your body and then melt it down. And if you want to grab your pillow and even just bring your pillow across your feet. So if you have your head down, you can rest your head in the pillow. So really grounding our sit bones into the mat. Letting our shoulder blades come away from each other as we feel that openness now through the back body. We're still getting the same opening in the legs, but a different experience with our torso. Feeling all those layers starting to slowly open up. Keeping that lovely breath you cultivated at the start of practice with you. Just taking another couple of breaths in this pose, as it is quite intense for the legs. Every exhale, just feeling that melting of the fascia opening up. And if you have the pillow in between your legs, just moving your pillow over to the side and walking your hands up to center. And then again, if you want to use your hands just to help your feet, just setting your feet in front of your body and just do windshield wipering your hips off to either side. Feeling that sweet release in the legs. Then we're going to come into a half deer side pose. So you're going to bring your right leg so that your heel is right in at your left hip, your inner left hip, and then your left hip is going to go behind you. So right foot and is almost touching your left quad, and then your left foot is just out behind you. We're going to bring our right hand just off to the right hand side. We're going to reach our left hand up. When we do this, we're going to think about our chest opening up towards the ceiling here. deep bend in that right hand if you want. Still right arm if you want, still grinding down through the left hips. And then if you want to just increase the opening in your chest, just bending that left elbow and resting your left hand just to the bottom of your neck. So it might reach in between your shoulder blades or it might not. And then just having your gaze wherever is comfortable here. So often when we're opening up through a side body, if we look in that direction, pardon me, it can strain our neck. So maybe bringing your gaze down might be more comfortable for you. Just keep pushing down to that left hip. And feeling our left side body slowly creeping open. And our edge in this posture is with this stretch we're getting in our left hip, but also the openness that we're getting in our chest. Just taking one more breath here. And then exhale to slowly uncurl and coming through the center. There, just going to take a slight twist out to the left. And then a slight twist out to the right. And then swapping up your legs. So bringing your left foot in as if it was going towards your right thigh, and then the inside of your right leg is going to rest on the mat. Your right foot is going to come behind you, so into a half deer here. So making sure you can grind through both hips. So feel if your right hip's really far up, trying to grind down, or you can place a block under that hip. As long as you need to bring the ground up to you, that's absolutely fine. Placing our left hand over to the left hand side, sweeping our right arm up. You can bend into that left arm if you want, and keeping a nice openness with our neck here, so not dropping our head too far down, keeping our neck nice and long. And then bending our right hand if you wish, and just placing your hand, bending your elbow, and placing your hand just to the bottom of your neck. And spiraling that chest up towards the ceiling, just keeping your gaze wherever's comfortable. Making sure that left shoulder isn't creeping up to your left ear. Taking one more breath here. And then slowly lifting your right hand up, straightening your left arm, coming through the center, and then we're just going to twist around slightly to the right hand side, not forcing yourself into a twist here, and then twisting around towards the left. And then just bringing yourself onto all fours. So your knees are directly underneath your hips. You're going to untuck your toes here, keeping your hips up nice and high, and then just walking your hands forward, melting your chest down towards the mat. And so if you need to, you can walk your hands wider than the mat. Some people find it less of a stretch, and some people find it even more of a stretch. And then imagining you've got torches coming out of your elbows, and you want to shine those torches up towards the sky. So the whole arm's turning up towards the sky, and you'll feel an engagement all through your lats and all through your back here, really grinding those hands down into the mat. And if the ground feels a little bit far away, you can bring your head onto a block. Or if you want to increase the stretch, just bringing yourself up onto your fingertips. Keep imagining you're wrapping your shoulders underneath and your elbows are shining up towards the sky. Melting our heart down towards the earth. And quick check in with your breath. And then once you've got the upper body stable, Imagine you can send your sit bones away from one another and lighting up our legs. And keeping our belly nice and soft. Keeping that hugging in action with your arms. Creases of our elbows up towards the sky. And as we do that, it might restrict our breath in the back body, so make sure you're really breathing right into the fronts of your lungs, right into your sternum. Just taking another couple breaths here. And in your next exhale, just dropping your elbows down to the mat. And we're just going to snake our chest forward just so we come to lie flat on the mat. So we're lying on our tummy here. And untucking your toes if you have them tucked so our toes are nice and flat. We're going to bring our hands out either side into a T shape. And then we're going to roll onto our left hip. So our right hip stacks on top. And you're just going to bring your right hand in. So you can bring up to the tented fingertips again on this side. And if you feel like you've come into this posture and you haven't quite reached your edge yet, you can play with the position of your arms. Maybe walk your hand up a couple of inches, making sure that your shoulders aren't creeping up to your ears, keeping that armpit nice and open. Breathing into that opening in our left chest and all along the inner seam of our left arm. And you want to imagine your hand dragging back towards your body here, and that'll lighten up our biceps. How often do you stretch your biceps? Probably not very often, but yet we use them all the time. And it's important here that while we're stretching, we still find that softness. So are you clenching with your glutes or your knees? You relax with the tummy muscles. If you want to increase the stretch, just use that right hand to just push the ground away from you a bit more. Ensuring that you're increasing the intensity but not in any way bringing any pain to the body. Take long breaths, exhaling a sigh at any point you need to. Just making these last couple of breaths really count. And then before we move, just making sure that we do it really slowly and we enjoy that feeling of release. So when your next exhale, just rolling really slowly back onto our front. Bring your left hand in towards our body, your right hand's going to go out. So if you did increase the stretch to the left side, keeping your right hand at the start in line with your shoulder and rolling on to your right hand side, tenting up at our left fingertip. And then if you want, you can just almost spider your hands up a little bit higher, keeping that arm nice and straight. And again, just using that left hand, just nudge the weight more into that right shoulder. And then with your hand grounded, spreading your fingers really wide with your right hand, push that ground away. And you'll just feel the stretch all in your biceps, all into your shoulder and into your chest. And then releasing the tension anywhere else. and go deeper, you can pick up your left leg, bend your knee, and just set your left foot behind your right leg. Feeling that ground support you in this pose. Making sure you're still at your edge here and that you're committing to it. Keep actively pushing that ground away with your right hand. And again, before we move out, make sure you're moving nice and slowly out of this pose, enjoying that feeling of relief. To your next exhale, if you set your left foot behind you, just bring it back on top of your right leg, and then slowly rolling out of this posture. And then just placing our hands on top of one another and just resting our head down. Your next inhale, just lifting your gaze, and then just grabbing your book or your block. You might need it, you might not. Just bringing your elbows underneath your shoulders and coming into Sphinx pose. Just to make sure that we're got the right alignment here. If you can touch your elbows with your fingers, as in your opposite elbows and fingers, then you have enough space here. And then just walking your feet slightly wider, just we're allowing a bit more space for our lower back, and then just rolling our shoulders back, hugging your shoulder blades together, and coming into our Sphinx pose here. And we're just going to drop our ear over to our right ear, over to our right shoulder. So this will be a tiny, tiny movement, and you'll just feel a stretch along the side and the front of your left neck. So making sure your elbow is coming down to your shoulder, not your shoulder up to your elbow. Just letting those hips really sink into the mat. And if you are feeling anything in your lower back here, you're welcome to just scoot those elbows slightly forward, so you're just reducing the bend in the spine. Keeping that right ear down towards your shoulder. Making sure you're not clenching through the legs. And then you're just going to roll our chin all the way across. Slowly over to the left hand side. And again, the same idea of ear down to shoulder, not shoulder up to ear. Grounding down through both elbows. You can feel a nice stretch on the right side of your neck. And then bringing your neck through the center. And then if you have your block handy, just putting it on the highest setting and just bringing your forehead down so it rests in the block. So it'll just kind of be in between your eyebrows here. Just with it taking the weight of your head, you can really let your body sink down. So maybe letting those shoulders melt away from your ears. Letting your tummy flatten out onto the mat. If you are using a book and it is a little bit nippy, just with where it's resting on your forehead, you're welcome to put a blanket or a cushion in between the book and your forehead. testing the block here as a pressure point. It's going to allow us to really relax the body by stimulating it. Keeping our head super heavy. And then just lifting our gaze and removing the block from underneath our forehead if we put it there. And then just bringing your hands down by your sides, pushing up into all fours. And then bringing your knees really wide to mat width, and your toes are going to come together to touch. And then you're going to send your hips back. So we're coming into child's pose with our lower legs, keeping your chest up. We're just going to weave that right arm underneath our left arm. So it's going to go behind that left wrist, and our right arm is going to rest down on the mat. Right temple is going to come down to the mat. And then with our left hand, we're really going to grind into the ground, you know what I mean? So that our hips really sink down towards our feet here. Then we're going to take our left hand, just reach it up in the air, bend the elbow, and then our left arm is going to loop around the small of our back. So our left hand will be resting kind of where our right waist is. Doing a bit of a spinal twist here. So while we open through the back of the right shoulder, we're opening through the front of the left shoulder. Keep grinding down to the hips so we open into them. Just allowing those little sensations in your body to happen. I like to think of these little sensations as our body chatting to us. It's almost thanking us for giving it attention in areas that we often don't. By thanking us, you know that you're doing it good. It might be slightly intense and slightly uncomfortable, but it's what the body needs. Keeping that belly soft. Grinding the hips down towards the heels. And let your breath go into your belly here. Quite restricted in the chest in this pose. So with every exhale, really feel your belly expand. And if you took your left arm over the small of your back, really starting to unwind it and placing your palm onto the mat. Just staying here for a breath. And then pushing into that left hand to unwind your right arm out from underneath it. And then winding your left arm behind your right. And then while your right hand is still grounded into the mat, pushing into the mat so you can really feel your hips sink down into your heels. May claw your left arm away from you more so you can feel that opening behind the left shoulder. This time we've stretched the front, now we're going to stretch behind. And then lifting that right arm up to the air and then bringing it across the small of your back. So your palm of your hand will be facing outwards, so it'll be the back of your hand that's nuzzled in with your left waist here. So keep pushing the hips down towards the legs, lifting that right shoulder away from your ears. breathing into your belly. Knowing you can exhale with a sigh at any point. Giving your body a nice release. Letting anything that's coming up for you, not just physically but mentally, letting it go with every exhale. This practice is just for you. So if anything's trying to come into your mind to disrupt that, consciously getting rid of it. Taking these last few breaths in this pose counts, and really sinking those hips towards the feet, opening your right chest. And then slowly, as slow as you possibly can, unwinding that right arm. And then bringing your right hand down to the mat just for a breath or two. And then pushing your right hand into the ground as you bring your left hand to meet it. And then we're just going to sink back down just into a child's pose for a breath or two. And then just coming up to all fours. Just scooting your hips, your legs over to the side, then coming to sit with both legs out in front. You're going to cross your right leg over your left so that your right heel's coming in towards your left hip and your right knee is stacked above your left knee here. It's coming into a pose called half shoelace. So just bringing your hands slightly behind you. We're going to reach our chest up, nice long spine, and then exhale, we're going to fold over our legs. So just like we did with our butterfly at the start of practice, just keeping our nice curve in the spine here, pushing into our sit bones. So we can feel a nice opening in the back, and if you want, you can even hug that right leg in with your left hand. So you're getting that stretch all in your right hip. Then also elongating throughout our spine. So to take ourselves to our edge here, we need to be feeling a nice opening from our deep within our right glutes. And then a nice opening all along the back of our left leg. And making sure we're sending our breath to these areas. And as you ground your sit bones into the mat, you'll feel a nice stretch along our lower back, as if we had a big belt on all across our lower back. If you want to lighten up the back of your left leg a little bit more, think about digging your heel into the ground. And you'll feel the back of your hamstring start to lengthen. Feeling those tiny, tiny movements in it as it starts to just grow. Taking 2 more inhales here. On your next inhale, if you hugged your knee in towards your chest, just unravel your arms and slowly walk your way up to center. And then straightening out your right leg. And then crossing your left leg over. Bringing that left knee in towards your right hip. Sorry, your left heel in towards your right hip, and then your left knee is going to be stacked on top of your right knee. So your right knee will be hidden by your left knee. Flexing through the right toes. Just finding a little bit of length here. And as you lift your shoulders up, you're pushing your sit bones down. So we're pulling our body in both directions. And then exhale, folding over that leg. And then if you want this time, taking your right hand just to hug that left knee in so you can feel that deep opening in the glutes. We're keeping our right foot slightly flexed and pushing that heel in towards the ground. And just releasing any tension anywhere else you're finding it. So maybe paying some attention to your shoulders. Melting your body forward. Making sure you're committing to that edge of your pose. Taking 2 more breaths here. Maybe letting your torso sink a little bit closer to your legs. And then your next inhale, maybe hug that knee in, just opening your hands out. Coming up and then unwinding your legs. And then straighten them out in front of you. Then we're going to take our block and just have it handy, and we're going to come to lie on our mat. Slowly bringing yourself down. We're just going to take one more pose before we come into Savasana. So when we come into Savasana, we'll be giving a guided meditation, and if you wish to stay in Savasana when the class is over, you're welcome to. So just having your feet just so you can touch them, knees are hip width apart, just pushing into the ground and then placing the block on the lowest height, just at the very, very base of your spine. So just like I said at the start, you might need to maneuver slightly just so you find that sweet spot. And when you find it, you'll just feel your hips completely melt into the block. And then bringing your hands alongside, you're going to spin your palms up towards the sky. And as you do this, just almost pushing into your head so you can pick your shoulders up and then rolling your shoulders underneath you. And you can stay here, or we're going to come into a supported fish, so straightening those legs out. And then letting your feet just fall over to the side. And again, if you come into this pose, you need to move yourself a little bit on the block, you can. It's important with yin that we find our pose and we commit to it, so we don't want to be halfway through holding it and we need to move. We want to make sure we can fully commit from the get-go. So finding expansion all through the front body now. So by rolling those shoulders underneath, we're letting our chest peel open. We're letting our hips open out. Our inner seams are shining up. Inhale, I want you to think about filling up the space from your pelvis all the way up to your collarbone. Feel like your body is a balloon, you're filling up that full balloon full of air. And with every exhale, letting those shoulders and those hips just sink down. And if you haven't already, I just encourage you to maybe close your eyes or soften your gaze while in this pose. We're soon going to come to our sweet, sweet rest, so letting your body slow things down even more. And making sure you're not holding tension anywhere else. Making sure your toes are nice and relaxed, your hands and your wrist. Space in between your eyebrows. The back of the throat. The jaw, just letting it all succumb to gravity. And then just placing our feet onto the mat, we're just going to lift that block out from underneath our heels. And then just resetting ourselves back down the mat. Straightening out your legs. And then you're just going to place your left hand just at the very, very bottom of your skull where it meets your neck. And then picking your head up and also feeling as if you're going to pull your head out from your shoulders and then just placing your head onto the block. You've got a really nice long spine. Then we're going to come into our guided meditation and then into our Savasana. So making sure you're nice and comfortable here. We're going to bring one hand onto our tummy and one hand onto our heart. So usually it's our left hand on our heart and our right hand onto our low tummy. So just below our belly button. We're just going to take that ladder breathing that we did at the start of class. Or equal breathing. So this idea of just counting your breaths in, maybe up to 5 or 6. And then counting our breaths out. Feeling that rise and fall of our hands as we inhale and as we exhale. And just letting any thoughts that are coming into your mind, almost as if as they drift in, they drift out again. Really slowing the body down. Slowing it down from a physical point of view, but also slowing it down from a mental point of view. Not holding on to anything. Releasing physical and mental thoughts or tensions with every exhale. Letting that heart rate maybe slow down slightly as we're bringing peace to our bodies. Keeping that softening through the face and the jaw and the throat. Knowing that it's when we have these moments of stillness and these moments of quietness with ourselves that we can really tap into ourselves. And if you had the equal breath, just letting go of the counting. And keeping your hands just on your body. You can remove the block from under your head, or you can stay. And you can come into your Savasana.